All right, we do it each and every Friday. It's Where Are They Now, presented by City Heat and Air and Natural Gas, where we talk to a sports personality from the area and see how life has gone and since being in the area, and then also what they're up to now. Our next guest has been a major leaguer with the Texas Rangers, been a part of some tremendous teams, is in AAA with the Round Rock Express and the Rangers organization, and a former Vol great in baseball. Julio Borbon joins us here on the new Sentinel Sports page. Hey, Julio, this is Vince Ferrara and Austin Ward. How you doing, Julio?
Hey, Vince and Austin, how you guys doing? I'm doing great. You?
Great. We're doing well. We appreciate the time today. So talk about your time so far this year with Round Rock. What's that experience been like so far this year in AAA in the Rangers organization?
It's been good. Everything's been good. We started off, on the road earlier. We went over to Iowa and Omaha, and it got a little chilly there, but it wasn't anything I hadn't been used to before. When I was back then in Knoxville playing, those fall ball games. So I was able to, get out there and from the beginning, set the tone and start out pretty good. And so far so good right now. We're about 15 games into the season and about to head back on the road here in a couple of days.
Julio, it seems like throughout the organization, and you've obviously spent some time in the big leagues over the last couple of years, it's got to be a good time to be in that Texas organization, given the success that you guys have all had.
Definitely, it's fun to watch. Even watching the games sometimes when we're here and seeing the team chemistry. I've been around just about every single one of those guys, and we treat each other like family. It's something that I've noticed from the day that I stepped in there with the organization. The main guys have been there around since I've been there. Elvis, Michael Young, Kinsler, even Hamilton, Murphy. They're all they get along. It feels like they've known each other pretty much their entire life, and it's fun to be around a group of guys like that because it definitely makes your job easier.
Joined by Julio Borbon here on Where They Now, presented by City Heat and Air and Natural Gas, the 35th player selected overall by the Texas Rangers in the 2007 June draft, out of course, the University of Tennessee. And Julio, when people bring up your time at Tennessee, what are some of the standout memories, the things that come to mind for you when you were here in Knoxville?
Definitely, going out there, one of my best memories will definitely be, the football games, especially when I was out there for the first time coming from Dominican and experiencing those, big crowds. I'll have that one memory where we beat the Gators at home, and I was there in that packed stadium with about 110,000 people, and I'm standing there right next to a couple of my teammates, in the student section and wherever they're chanting and yelling, and I was trying to talk to one of them right next to me who was standing there, and it was so loud in there that I don't think he could even hear me, anything that I said.
Julio, when you look back at that team, I remember covering you guys, the heralded freshman class, and all the veteran talent that you guys had as you come in. You look now at these yourself, JP Arancibia, Luke Hochevar, Chase Headley, these guys that have just you've had long Major League Baseball careers. Is it hard to believe at all how far you guys come, or did you always expect that you were all going to wind up there?
Yeah, it's funny because I think we all had that sense, even the way we back then when we were around each other, the things that we used to talk about. It seems like we all had the same goal in mind. We wanted to be there and be a part of the big program. We were rooting and definitely going after the same goals. Not only ultimately, trying to go all the way to the World Series at school, but it seemed like we had further visions with what we wanted to do with our careers in baseball. So. It's definitely no surprise for me to look around and see these guys, majority of them already there, and if not really close because of the mentality and work ethic and the things that they were able to show while they were at school, and I got to notice while I was around, especially my first year, being around Headley and Hope, those guys just definitely were something to look up to and were definitely a big part of me, and I'm sure of JP as well.
Visiting with former Vol baseball player Julio Borbon here on the new Sentinel Sports page. It's Where They Now, presented by City Heat and Air and Natural Gas, Vince Ferrara and Austin Ward. Julio, what's been the most difficult thing since you left Tennessee, the most difficult thing in trying to work your way through the Rangers system and being in the majors? Is there anything, or times in the minors, is there anything that's been maybe the biggest challenge since you left college?
Definitely. For me, it's been the grind of a longer season, definitely. When you go through a long season in the minor leagues or even in the big leagues, I got to experience both. My first full year in pro ball was in 2008, where I ended up playing about who knows how many games. I ended up getting about close to 150 at-bats in one single year. And, you know, you look back and it's definitely something that you go day in and day out, and you have to find a way to get through certain days when you're not feeling like you're 100%. And there are other days where you feel decent, but you don't ever feel nowhere near probably what you felt the first couple days of the season. So it's probably the hardest thing I would say for most people, because it's a constant grind of going out there and trying to give out your best, because you definitely want to be doing well enough to be moving the ladder. And then obviously in the big leagues, I was able to spend that full year with the Rangers when we made it to a World Series for the first time. I was there from, you know, day one in spring training all the way until the World Series was over against the Giants. So that was a long season too. And I look back and there were very few months left for off season. Before we knew, we were back already in spring training. So the length of it and the grind would be probably the hardest thing that any player that's going from college or even high school would have to transition and get used to it quick. Otherwise, they'll be left behind, you know?
Julio, it seems like I've seen a couple times on Twitter where you're asking people for updates when the current Vols are playing and making sure that you're keeping tabs on what's going on around here. You know, how important is that for you to maintain those ties and maybe to see them starting to turn it back around?
Definitely, it's fun for me. It's important. It's always, you know, it's a big part of me, definitely, and I love keeping up with the program, and it's definitely something I'm looking forward to even doing more in the future as I have more time. So I feel very identified, and it's something that, you know, I haven't been able to do as much in the last couple of years, but, you know, even by reconsidering this off season, hoping to go back in and get some classes in and go back to school, I'll probably be able to get a little bit more involved than I've wanted to. So I enjoy it, I love it, and it's something that, you know, I'll always be a part of.
Julio, give me your best ballpark, best minor league ballpark that you've played in, and maybe the worst minor league ballpark you've played in.
The best minor league ballpark that I can think at the top of my head right away, as you asked, was the Rough Riders. Our AA ballpark, it's like a mini version of the big leagues, just with everything. You know, the ballpark setting is really nice. It's very pretty out there. The surroundings, the stadium, the playground itself, the field, the playing field, the clubhouse, just all the facilities around it is a really, really neat setup that the Rangers have over there, and even this one out here. And the worst one I would definitely have to say was my first level. In 2008, we played in Bakersfield out there in California. Our high A back then. It's now in Myrtle Beach, but it used to be in Bakersfield, and that was definitely by far the worst stadium as far as, you know, the location. You know, I'm sure the fans out there would have loved to have a nicer setting, but it was one of those where just even the dimensions of the field weren't really convenient for anything. It was a very small, tiny ballpark, and it's one of those where, you know, you have to get through and understand that, you know, it's part of the minor league process, and the better you do, obviously, the quicker you get out of there.
Julio, is that the field where the outfield is uneven? I think there's one ballpark out there where you get, when you go towards the wall, it has like a downslope. Is that the ballpark?
I don't think it does, but it's probably the shallowest center field I've ever seen in baseball, which is around 350 dead center.
That's not good for your power numbers, though, Julio?
It is, but it was funny because the stadium actually played a lot bigger than what it looked. There wasn't that many home runs hit dead center because of the way the wind blew out there. Like, you actually have to hit it as if it was like 390. So it wasn't all that big of an advantage. And I don't think I even hit that many home runs in that park, but maybe two in like half a season. And then I ended up getting moved up to AA, and I think I ended up hitting like 7 or 8 in AA, which was an actual bigger park, which made no sense, but it just got to show like how big that stadium played as opposed to what it actually looked like. So don't let those dimensions fool you.
Hey, you hit over 300 at both of those ballparks, so in Frisco and in Bakersfield. Hey, Julio, great to catch up with you. Good luck the rest of the year, and hopefully we'll see you with the Texas Rangers here real soon.
All right, thank you guys for having me. Have a good one.